Welcome aboard. Glad to see so many folks are showing up on this fine Tuesday morning here in the Washington, D.C. area. I see a bunch of folks that I'm looking forward to talking with, and if you have any questions, we'll definitely get into that. We're ready to roll. Well, again, good morning, and welcome to the Driving GSA Sales, so that you can learn a little bit more about marketing, proposal development, and capture management. And real quick, I want to go over, first of all, this is me. I'm Dave Lowe. I'm the CEO of isiFederal. Carl is probably not going to make it here today, but if he does, that's what he looks like. And I'm sorry about that picture, and I'm even more sorry about this picture because this is Jamie, who is here today. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm doing good, Dave.
How are things with you?
I'm doing good.
So, sales and marketing for GSAproposal.com, and we love to have him on. We're going to get right into it because we have a bunch of things going on today. But the number one thing that matters most, if anybody knows what this is, the number is 167. The magic number for today is 167. If you know what that is, go down and chat that in, and you will win a Starbucks gift card if you know what that is. So if you know what that number means, type it in down the bottom. Jamie, you're excluded. You can't win. You get too much Starbucks anyway. So if you have any questions, right down on the right-hand side, you can chat, and you can also make sure that your audio pin is punched in. That way we can unmute you and we can create some roundtable dialogue. Love to have the dialogue. Really enjoy having that when we have great discussions, and hopefully we'll have a couple of other people joining us, some magic guests later that will help us as well. So a little bit about the sponsors. isiFederal, we are specialists in business development. We help bridge the gap for small businesses, usually, some in the medium, some even in the large, to be able to compete for federal opportunities, and that is a number of things that we do. For that, CapturePlanning.com helps companies learn how to create winning proposals and capture business. And if you haven't been to CapturePlanning.com, write it down, go there after the webinar is done, see all the free stuff that Carl has there for you to be able to understand how to better prepare and respond to federal opportunities. And with us again is GSAproposal.com. They do new schedule development. They also do maintenance and extensions. We're going to be talking a little bit about that in a little while with some of the preparation in coming to marketplace, because I'll bet you some of you folks need to reevaluate where you are in your GSA schedules. About this webinar series, it's dedicated for GSA schedule holders. I did invite a couple of other people that aren't GSA schedule holders to see a couple of the marketing components that we operate under, because we're going to be talking about some specifics here today, really to help identify the obstacles to your success and start to work at eliminating those. A lot of this is about gaining exposure to the federal buyers, giving you some insider information and access to resources like Jamie, like Carl, like myself, and some others that may pop on as well to be able to help you understand this marketplace and capture market today. Okay, why are we here today? Here's some of the folks that responded in the questionnaire that we did as you signed up. Kenneth Martinez asking about identifying prospects for fiscal year 2013. Great question. We're going to talk about that. Rhonda Jackson, I'm looking for the answer to the now what of government contracting. Love that. Love that kind of language. Rocco looking to increase the chances of winning work. We're going to talk about that as well. Linda Jackson, a practical action plan. We'll be talking about the action plan today. Sarah, I was provided with marketing tips and where to find the right customers for my services. We'll talk about that. And Lestelle, it was able to address in detail how small businesses should market. And I'm going to pop this back up at the end, and you guys can judge whether or not we answer these types of issues in this particular webinar. And the top needs of these GSA schedule holders as I reach out to people is, my contract is underperforming and I'm in danger of losing. I have two folks that came to me recently with this problem, and sometimes you can save it and sometimes you can't, because you need to be proactive about your market and getting out there and getting a GSA schedule doesn't make money fall from the sky or even the phone to ring. Some folks are saying, I can't find the right people. I've been doing everything I can, but I can't break through. I even know who the people are, but I still can't get their attention. I can't get in to see them. They won't talk to me. And some of the folks just really don't understand the federal marketplace, so giving a general overview, we'll be talking about some of those as well. And there's opportunities for different GSA schedule holders. In fact, you might have a Schedule 70, but it is not Schedule 70. It's going to come out under MOBIS, or it's going to come out on another schedule. And whether or not it makes sense to expand your GSA schedule offerings to be able to crack open an additional market and how you can operate there. And the biggest one that I hear a lot is FBO. The RFPs are already begged for competitors. If FedBizOps is your primary source of finding new opportunities, you're looking where everybody else is looking, and most of the time, it's already slated. It's already influenced by somebody else to the point where it's very difficult for you to win. So we will be addressing one particular issue is your contract is underperforming and I'm in danger of losing it. And depending on when that is happening, if it's happening between now and some of the folks that I know, July, one is June. So they just came to me and I'm like, we're going to do what we can. We're going to do what we can to build your federal business, irrespective of what happens with your GSA schedule. But if you're going to lose it, let's put the best port forward. Now, why is this happening? Why are people losing their GSA schedule? Let me tell you, this is typical for GSA schedule holders. In fact, most will fail. And I'm not just talking about 51% are going to fail. I'm talking about 80% of the folks that have their schedules will lose their schedules. The folks that have done it in the last 2 years are going to lose. 80% of them are going to lose their schedules. 50% are not going to get a dime, and 30% don't reach the $25,000 minimum. And I don't care what you do, if you only booking $25,000 on a GSA schedule that took you a half a year, maybe a year to get, and all the pain and trouble that you went through, that's a categorical failure. But guess what? This isn't just you with GSA schedule holders. This includes 8As, service disabled. Even if you have a GSA schedule and you're service disabled and you're an 8A, all these things are still stacked against you for getting into this marketplace because of the way that it operates. 5,000 and 9,000 8As will not get a dime, and if you think your getting a GSA schedule is hard, try getting an 8A, and that's even more difficult, and being able to have that. And then after you get your 8A and you go through the 9 years, most graduate and disappear. A lot of times they go out of business completely. They have to sell off whatever remaining pieces they have. It is a lot of money that's invested. The cold hard truth about this federal government is federal business development is hard work. It takes a long time and it's expensive. I'm not blowing sunshine here. I'm telling you what you need to do to adjust your entrepreneurial mindset so that you won't find yourself at the same place that the rest of these GSA schedule holders are, and you can do it. You can succeed here. You can be exceedingly successful in driving sales to your GSA and growing your federal business through additional GSA schedule contract vehicles, through additional areas even outside of GSA that you can sell into this market. You can do it. It's a $425 billion market. Even if they cut 10%, you're still talking about the #1 customer in the world. There's millions of contracts that are executed. 23% are set aside for small businesses, still wired against you because of the large IDIQs that are being put out there for small businesses that makes a select few small businesses, very large businesses pretty quickly. They buy everything, though. It's local all the way to around the world. There's tens of thousands of buyers, hundreds of agencies, and again, they are the #1 customer in the world, and that's why we're here. We're all here because they're the #1 customer in the world. The challenge is how can you develop and how can you manage and how can you create your proactive federal strategy? You have got to have a proactive federal strategy in order to be successful in this marketplace, and just to stick with this theme for the rest of this entire presentation, we're going to be talking about being proactive, what it means to be proactive. Now, I went to dictionary.com and it popped up 2 different definitions, actually 3, but I want to dissect these meanings, because I think the meaning of proactive will help us understand exactly what we need to do in the federal marketplace and reinforce what's necessary for you to be able to be successful. First is you have to prepare for this, but serving to prepare for, intervene in, or control an expected occurrence or situation, especially a negative or difficult one. You are up against failing. An 80% failure ratio with your GSA schedule, an 80%. So this is a difficult one, but to be anticipatory. And then the next one from the World English Dictionary, tending to initiate change rather than reacting to events. Love that. I'm not exactly sure what this cycle is, but of denoting a mental process that affects a subsequent process. Love this too. We're going to talk about each one of these, but we're going to be talking about first preparing for, and then controlling your situation. First, if you're going to control your situation, you darn sight better understand where you are, and you better understand where you're headed, and the things that are necessary to move you from where you are to a successful place. So control your situation, especially in a negative or a difficult one like you're in right now. To be anticipatory, to go and do something with anticipation, to initiate change, love this, rather than reacting to events. Who cares about sequestration? I'm telling you, right now, don't even bother yourself with sequestration. Do whatever's necessary to be able to get yourself positioned so when the money starts to flow, and it will flow, and when it does, you want to be positioned to be able to take advantage of it. And also, a mental process that affects a subsequent process. We're going to be talking about every single one of these things and empowering you to go and do the things that are necessary to be successful in a proactive federal strategy. We'll say it again, proactive federal strategy. If you're expecting the phone to ring, if you're expecting me to tell you how to get yourself in a position where your phone will ring, I'm not going to do it. You're not going to be able to do it. Eventually, over the course of time, your phone will be ringing because you'll have relationships, and that's what makes everything work. So, who answered my question about this? Anybody? Let's see here. Questions. Anybody pop in here? I think we might have ourselves a winner. Hold on here. Okay. Hey, Leonard, let me see if I can unmute you, and you can help everybody understand what this is. All right, hopefully you have a Leonard Sweeney, you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing, Leonard? What's your company, Leonard?
Sure, it's VIS LLC.
VIS LLC, and what does VIS stand for, and what do you do?
Well, VIS is actually a Latin term for strength, power. And we provide mobile device management. We provide BlackBerry services to the federal government. And so that's the direction that we're going in. So we're in the process of putting BlackBerry licenses and also support agreements on our GSA Advantage.
Good for you. And BYOD is something that's big for you right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, BYD is huge.
Absolutely. BYOD is huge in the federal space right now. So, Leonard, share with us what, and make sure I get your email address so I can send you that Starbucks gift card, because you are right. Tell us the magic number of 167 and why it matters so much right now.
Sure. It's the end of the fiscal year for the federal government, 2013.
That's right. And when is the last contract going to be executed in 2013?
11:59 p.m. September 30th.
Have you been on this before? That's so fair. Hold on a second. I done messed myself up. Went all the way to the end of my presentation. Hang on a second. Pay no attention to the man behind the screen. Hold on a second. Yeah, he's been here before. I know it, but that's okay, because guess what? That was still the right answer, even if he's been here before. So the answer is absolutely 11:59. And what is it? At what time? 11:59. Which time zone?
Oh, well, I go, I mean, we're on Eastern Standard Time, but I would imagine it's PST.
It's actually better than that. It's Hawaiian.
Nice.
There you go. See,
nice.
Hawaiian Pacific Time. The
Okay.
reason being, is that they can execute to 11:59, and the fact of the matter is they will execute to 11:59, and you need to be in position for this. And if you're wondering why this is so important, I'm going to show it to you right now. Every one of these spikes that you see right here, these contracts are spiking in September, 200, 800%. Some industries we even see more, but most of these fall into this. I'm going to mute you for a second here, Leonard. You're welcome to chime in at any time if you want to raise your hand. We have Lee too. Hold on a second, Lee. Let me see. Lee, did you have that answer too? Lee Grady?
I did, yes, but that's great that he got it, and he did a great job of answering.
He sure did, didn't he? So I'll come back to you too. If you have any other questions, we'll get back to you. I love your microphone. It sounds great. Anyhow, so here we go with this. All these are September spending. These are, and every year this happens the same way. It's not going to change this year just because we're under sequestration. In fact, I'll bet you that we have additional funds that are going to be spent in the last 30 days specifically, but in the last 7 days and the last few days even more. You see these spikes that happen in September always at the end of the year. So this gives you a chance. This gives you an opportunity to be in control of your situation, specifically when it comes to September. And we want to talk about your situation right now. What is your situation? First of all, the first step in everything that you're going to be doing is first, you've got to understand your marketplace. And in understanding your market, is there a market? We have one of the reasons why one of the folks that we're working with right now is having trouble with their GSA schedule is they did a GSA schedule with the anticipation that there was a particular market for this service, and there wasn't. Normally, it's not the case. Normally, I'd say, man, there's so much money in the federal government, but I know something about this market that they were getting into, and it just wasn't right. Hopefully, he comes on in a little while, because he'll tell you what happened as a result of that. So what we did is we took a look at the market, and we said, hey, who's buying? Who's buying what you sell? And let me tell you, if there's only $40 million in the course of a year that's being spent in your marketplace, not big enough marketplace. I know. Now, if you're very specific to a geographic location, you can probably make money there as a small business. But if your total federal spending market is $40 million across the world, not a whole lot of space. How do they buy? Now, most instances, it's not this way. Most of the time, there's a plethora of business out there. So who's buying? How are they buying? More importantly, who are they buying from? Who are your competitors that are cashing your tax dollars, checks, going into their bank account? If that doesn't irritate you, I can't help you. You need to hang up, because I'm telling you, that drives me crazy when I see the competition cashing my checks. And what is your niche? What is your specific market play? And how can you play in that marketplace? Even if your niche is broad, as far as maybe it's a commoditized market, how can you compete? Where can you carve out your space? Where is your sweet spot specifically? So the next step after you understand your market is to say, hey, tell me about my buyer, specifically about my buyer. I'm not talking about just a general. I'm talking about who is responsible for purchasing what you sell. And I call these decision clusters. Very few things can I claim as my own, but this is mine. And that fact of the matter is there's 3 people in primary. Sometimes it's only 2. And as you get into larger procurement, it gets much greater. If you start talking about enterprise-wide stuff, you got all kind of influence, political influence from the top, all those kind of things. But let's just talk about regular small business size opportunities. You have your project manager, you have your technical representative, and you have your contracting officer, CO. And these people to get together for a specific project that's good for you. Now, what's important is that each one of these folks have different roles, different needs, different motives for their buying, and I'll go talk about those in it. I love buying motives. I love them because if you hit your buying motives, you can sell them anything. And they have different reasons for making decisions. And some of those are professional reasons for making those decisions. Some of those are personal reasons. And if you can figure out why they bought a particular car, the chances are you can figure out how to sell them what you have if you understand what they're up against. Very, very cool. Here you go. The project manager and the program manager, these are the people that are responsible for driving initiatives, some coming down from the president himself all the way down through the organizations. You can see green cloud computing, BYOD, we were just talking about Leonard. That's the kind of stuff that's there, cloud computing, anything that's dealing with components like that. And then part of that is IT security of dealing with making sure those BlackBerries are secure and not getting into things that they shouldn't, and people can't get to your stuff and personally identifiable information. Also, just physical security. All these things are initiatives that have been driven down through the organization. Obviously, with what happened in Boston, puts that right back up to the top again, unfortunately. So, but other things that you see is cost cutting, cost savings, political components like healthcare is huge right now. Anything dealing in these get driven down through the organizations, and they can come within a particular what the agency mission is, or they can come from the president or Congress. So they're looking for new ideas and technology to be able to meet their objectives and mission. These folks are influenceable, and I'm telling you, they're influenceable. Every one of these folks, in their own way, can be influenced by giving them sample scopes of work, potentially. They're the ones that are responsible for creating the scope. How about we help them create the scope and tell them what's necessary, certifications that are necessary, capabilities that are important for the vendor. Make sure that you're in the best light, setting up the requirements and helping them do that. Their job is to get the job done right, and the way that you can help them is tie what you're doing in with the initiatives. BlackBerry services goes right to BYOD and cloud computing. I'm telling you, fits like a glove. So there's one there. And big thing, help them look good. This is a core human emotion. Think about their positioning in the government. Think about how they're operating and how you can best help them look good. The next person is a technical representative. They go by COTAR or CORE or any number of other things, but just know that they're technical representatives. They're busy. They usually report to the PM, but their authority comes from the contracting officer when it comes to a particular procurement. So they do have authority that's associated with a contract. They're generally risk averse. Every once in a while you'll find somebody that's willing to be a champion for your cause, but generally they're risk averse. And they assist in assembling the technical requirements, looking at different standards out there, identifying similar purchases either within their organization or outside their organization. Certifications, again, being able to look for specific certifications that should be included. They assist in the mandatory requirements and help them with the requirements. Your objective is help them with the requirements and, again, help them look good. That's not too complicated. Let's make them look good by choosing you and help them look good, help them do the things a little bit easier. Now, that was kind of the program side and the person that kind of connects to the procurement side. And these folks are responsible for essentially moving paper from one side of the desk to the other. I'm not diminishing what they do. They know a lot about moving that paper and how they're going to do that the best way they possibly can. They are busy. Most of them are very busy. And they're even now, they're still reviewing things and getting things together. A little bit less busy than they had been this time of year, last year, or previous years because of sequestration, but they're still operating in the same fashion. So they will not teach you how to do business with them. They're risk averse. They absolutely, to reinforce that, they don't like new things. They don't want to try new things. They don't want to try a new contract vehicle. They don't want to try anything new. So it's very important that you know that they want to just help. They need some help moving that paper from one side of the desk to the other. They select the purchasing mechanism. Is it going to go out for full and open RFP? Is it going to be sole source to an 8A or some other reason? Is it going to be limited competition? Maybe they're just going to compete it between 3 GSA schedule holders. That's a beautiful thing, right? So all these people are responsible for selecting the mechanism, also with the grading requirements. Is it going to be lowest price technically acceptable? Is it a flat-out quote? Is it just price-driven? Is there going to be a value-based type of evaluation at the end of this to say, well, price is not as important. In fact, it's a 5-to-1 ratio. Value, build up your technical value to price. So your point scores can be determined, and these are the folks that determine those point scores in conjunction with the program side of the house. They develop the contract vehicles. Often they administer the contract post-award, not always. Sometimes it gets shifted to somebody else, but sometimes they do. They absolutely want the fastest way to purchase. And guess what? They don't want 50 RFP responses any more than you want 50 competitors. You guys are on the same page. Make sure you're helping them to do this. Easy is not 50 competitors for them. Easy is how can you get this off my desk and meet the requirements that I have to. One of the biggest things that you can do for these folks is to help them feel valued. That's a core human emotion. A lot of people look down on contracting officers, say, oh, they're not important, they're not. I'm telling you, the less dollar volume there is, the more important they are. It gets up to $100 billion, contracting officers are a pain. They get in the way. But generally speaking, under $750,000, and I think everybody on this phone call would enjoy $750,000 or less, these people gain significant influence to get to your micro purchasing level, $3,000 all the time. They can spend $3,000 all day long. That's a micro purchase, goes on a credit card, $3,500, up to $10,000 in some instances, $25,000 if you have the authority, and $100,000 if you get approval. You can do things $100,000 on a credit card. But generally speaking, if you're flying under the radar at $3,000, boom, you do that all day. $25,000 doesn't even hit FedBiz ops. Guess what? Nobody knows. Potentially, they can put it someplace. Nobody even knows. It can be competed between a very few people. Any questions about these folks? Real quick. I'm going to bounce out of this real quick. Let's see if there's anything. I don't see any, so if you need to, go to the right-hand side. You can raise your hand if you have a question, or you can type it in the questions panel down the bottom. I'm going to keep on rolling because that's pretty much basic information, right? So we're going to get to the next step. Step 3 is finding those key decision makers. This is part of our secret sauce. This is how we operate. I'm going to show you how we do it, and then you can make a determination if it does make sense for you and how you go about it. The fact is people buy from people they like. That doesn't change in the federal space. And we know this is true. You know this is true because if you have federal business, it's somebody who likes you, most likely. And even if you did it through an RFP, you are working those systems for them to be able to like you. The second thing is relationships trump the check boxes. And what I mean is if you could be a large business and you can still win. Why is that? Go back to fact number 1. People buy from people they like. So if they like you, the relationship will trump the checks box. And if you have to go do a partnership or something like that in order to win, they'll help you be able to facilitate that. If they like you, they'll figure out a way to buy from you. They'll use your GSA schedule. They'll use whatever your small business component is. They'll figure out a way to buy from you. And that's all part of this. So if you want them to like you, one of the biggest things is to give them exactly what they need. And here's what federal buyers need. They need political cover, they need technical cover, they need pricing cover, and they need it to be easy. So let's talk about the political cover. This is your approach. When was the last time, and this is one of the things that drives me crazy about the existing process that happens within SBA, GSA, and the rest of the folks with the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization or the Small Business Liaison. Everybody knows, and I know that they know, even internally with the government, is nobody gets sold from the bottom up. It doesn't work in the private sector. It doesn't work in the government sector. When was the last time you went in and sold a secretary to get you all the way up to your CEO in order to be able to book business in the private sector? It does not work because the secretary's job is to weed you out, and the gatekeeper's job is to weed you out. And the fact of the matter is that your approach is critical to being able to reach these people. And one of the things that's important is being able, and we're going to talk about this particular approach. I'm going to give you secrets to the success of being able to get in and talk with these people so that you can actually have dialogue and be building those relationships. The next is your technical cover, which is in your proposal, right? If you're responding to something, you're giving them your technical cover. And sometimes even your capability statement can be enough of a technical cover to say, hey, these guys know what they're doing. Look at all this stuff they've done. Look at the past performance they've done. Okay? The next is your pricing cover, which is your contract vehicle, your GSA schedule, your blanket purchase agreement, your IDIQs, everything that you've created gives you that pricing cover to make it safe for them to buy from you. And you got to give it to them in a nice package wrapped up in a bow and say, here you go. If you're doing smaller purchases and you're doing quotes, give them a filled out quote. Give it to them. Tell them what it looks like. Here's what it looks like. Just all you have to do is copy and paste this information. Whoop, you'll be ready to go. That makes it easy for them, right? So give it to them, packaged in a nice little package and bow. A lot of wrapped up in that slide, but suffice it to say, you need to address all of those pieces. But the most important thing, who are these buyers? This is part of our secret sauce, reaching these buyers. Your high probability targets that buy what you sell. These are the folks that are responsible for buying from your competitors. Now, your market should fit your sweet spot as well. So it's not just everybody out there. It's not all 85,000 people in procurement. It's people that are buying what you sell that fit your sweet spot. And let's take a look at these, for instance. Here we have 90 contracts with Delaria for $12.3 million. Is this a nice piece? Look at the $4.6 million. Take away $4.6 million out of that and look at 89 contracts executed for, let's just say about $8 million. That's a nice transaction size. Same thing here with Carmelita with $1.7 million. Look at the largest contract is $99,000, under $100,000. That all of her business, all of it should be set aside for small business, and she's probably working with small businesses all the time. How do you know that? Because she doesn't have an exorbitant amount of total contract volume. This Carmelita is somebody that you need to know. This happens to be for tactical gear, but this is across all the boards. But finding your sweet spot, hitting your sweet spot. Again, less than $100,000. That's pretty cool, right? I love finding these people. That's what I love more than anything, because me as a salesperson, I can act on those. I can go out and I can pursue these people and I can build the relationships. At least I know who I need to talk with. The cool thing is about this, when we do the research, we find number of contracts, we can sort them by the total amount, we can find out the sweet spot, the agency, more importantly, the phone and the email. So we can actually create a proactive pursuit after these people. So there are 642 buyers. We do this, you find this, whatever. You do your own research, I don't care. We can do your research one way or the other. You have 642 buyers that buy what you sell. These are people that you can identify as supplying under-the-radar opportunities. They never hit FedBizOps or the high-dollar databases. You know, if you're talking about some of these pricey databases, some of you have them, and I'm not against them because they give some pretty good idea of what's happening with a forecast in the future, right? You want to see the forecast, you want to see the contracts that are coming up for rebid, all those types of things, great. But these are never going to hit those high-dollar databases because they only track things that are $500,000 and above. So we're the ones that are hitting your sweet spot. And I'm suggesting that in most instances, most small businesses are looking for that repeat business in less than $500,000 increments. That's what I like to see, because those are the kind of things that aren't getting the attention from the big boys because they don't see them. It's a beautiful thing. Fit your sweet spot, and you can be competitor specific. That means that you can say, hey, who's my primary competitor, and who are the contacts that are buying from my primary competitor, and who do I need to build those relationships with? And that's exactly what this can do. So once you know who these people are, then you're going to say, what's the plan? How do I get after these people? Now, you already have the data, but the data by itself is not power. It's utilization of that data that makes you powerful. And getting back to your VIS LLC, strength and power. Love it. Love that, Leonard. Crazy cool. So what's the plan for you to be able to pursue this? So targeting your federal buyers. You can do a broad approach, and my recommendation is it's all of the above. So before I even get into this, it's all of the above. You have a broad approach where you're the shotgun. You're letting everybody know, right? The other is strategic. Who are the ones that are really, really, really important to me? And maybe a top 25, top 50, right? So you can say these are the people that are within an agency that I already have coverage in, or this is an agency that I wasn't even thinking of because I wasn't thinking of Bureau of Indian Affairs. But I noticed that there's a lot of money being spent for what I do there. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be strategic about these folks, and I'm going to go stalk them. I'm going to go make sure I'm in the presence of them whenever I can be. I'm going to go to their industry days and make sure I'm hobnobbing with everybody that I can. I'm not big on matchmaking sessions, but industry days are cool because you get to meet people and see people. And it's based on your sweet spot. You're going to focus all of your activity on your A and B list customers. Your C's and D's, they're going to come. But your A's and B's, they're the ones that you have to be proactive about. So you prioritize and you're organized. You're going to say, I'm going to target the top 2 in every one of these agencies, or every one of these locations, not just an agency, every one of these locations, and I'm going to organize this in a CRM, and yes, you do need a CRM. If you're going to keep track of 642 different people, you better have a CRM or some kind of tracking mechanism, or you're going to lose your mind. So make sure you're getting yourself set up, prioritize, organize in a CRM, and then you're going to decide whether you're going to go direct or if you're going to go indirect, sub to prime. And if you're doing product sales, you may have a relationship with a distributor or something. But ideally, you know this information from understanding your market. You're going to say, I know who I'm going to go direct with. I'm going to know who I'm going to go indirect with. And when I find an opportunity, I'm going to take it to this prime, and I'm going to build a relationship with this prime because I have an opportunity, and they're going to want to talk to me. And that's the fact. They will want to talk to you. So in targeting your federal buyers, these are the pieces. And now we're going to dig down into maximizing your exposure. And some of this I'm going to get to you in just a second, Jamie, and that is, first, we want to update your SAM records. Did you know that there are folks that have won? They have won. They were low bid. They won. They may have been one of the only few people that even bid. And guess what? They didn't have their information updated in SAM, and boom, they lost. They got thrown out after they won. They got thrown out because their information wasn't right. Your NAICS code the NAICS code of that opportunity has to be in your SAM record, otherwise they're going to throw you out. So update your SAM record with relevant NAICS, your contact information. Make sure it's current. God forbid they want to call you or email you and your email's not right in there. So another thing, update your capabilities. I recommend 2. One is a one-pager so that you can, bam, and get it in front of their face. It's a one-page resume kind of thing. The other one is deep, has all your past performance, references, all those kind of things, sample scopes of work. In fact, I think that's right here. Develop sample scopes of work. Why? Why do you want to develop sample scopes of work? For your primary offerings. Don't you want to get spec'd in? How do you think things get spec'd in? Do you think they just did it by osmosis? They said, hey, I just think your stuff is just to catch me out. No. It gets there because we feed it to them. They may ask for it, but for crying out loud, give it to them. Say, hey, I got something for you. Take a look at this. Maybe this will help fit into making this easier for you. And I love briefings. If you weren't here in February, go back to the February webinar. We do executive briefings and procurement briefings, and these are great tools for you to be able to communicate these things utilizing sample scopes of work because you're empowered. You're empowered with the ability to communicate what you want in a webinar. I'm doing it right now. I'm telling you exactly what I want you to hear because I have an agenda for helping you get to where you want to go. And, oh, by the way, I make a living at it. So I have an agenda to be able to get you to where you want to go, and I want to be part of it. Same thing for you. Set up a procurement briefing. Invite people to a procurement briefing and invite them. It's a beautiful thing. See that February webinar, and it's one of those things you can do. The last thing that you need to do, actually, probably one of the first things that you need to do, is to update your GSA schedule to make sure that it's relevant. And real quick, I'm going to introduce Jamie again because he handles work with GSAproposal.com, and he's going to give you some pointers on exactly what you need to do to be able to make this work for you to be able to leverage your schedule. So go ahead, Jamie. Give us an update on what they need to do. Here's some of the talking points for you.
Well, absolutely. You certainly have to leverage your GSA schedule, and making sure it's relevant to the market means that you need to keep your schedule current. A lot of people will get their schedule, and it goes even several years down the road, and they make no changes to it. They just kind of sits in their mind eye, and they think that, well, my schedule's, I've got my schedule, and that's where we need to be. But you need to go back and you need to tune that schedule. You need to make sure that it's relevant and it's current, and that as you're gaining additional past performance, that you're able to go back and even add additional SIN codes into that schedule to make it the richest, most profitable offering that you can bring moldable capabilities to the federal government. Because the more accurate it is and the more correct it is, the better you're going to be with regards to winning your business. And you make reference to the right schedule, and we've seen people in the past who have gone into the federal marketplace and have gone through and gotten a schedule awarded, and it wasn't the correct schedule. So selecting the right schedule is very, very important, and we can certainly help with that. The right schedule, and then within that schedule, the right special item numbers, the right SIN codes. That's Very, very important. Can't stress that enough. Current and up-to-date, absolutely. Again, you need to, if you've not looked into your schedule for a while, you need to do that. As you make changes to your schedule, where you're going to add or delete products and services, and in many cases, if you're offering hardware within the schedule, supply schedules, or components of your schedule are supply schedule, that you need to be able to update to current model numbers, current part numbers. We certainly help with that. That's one of our services. It's called a revision to a GSA schedule. We've got a low flat rate fee to handle that. And if you've not looked into your schedule for a while, or it's time to make changes to your schedule, we can help make that happen, make it easy, automate that whole process, which includes not only getting those changes approved through the PCO and part of your new modified GSA schedule, but also then going back out to GSA Advantage, which is the government's electronic searchable phone book for products and services, and updating GSA Advantage. So not only is your schedule current, but what you show to the federal government through GSA Advantage is accurate and up to date as well. And that's part of that process of the revision, is we also do the update to GSA Advantage once your schedule is made current and up to date.
And this is really important, because if you're marketing to federal buyers and you're driving them to GSA Advantage, where they're going to look, they can look you up just by your schedule. They can find your stuff. So the answer is driving them to GSA Advantage. If you're doing that, making sure that your stuff is there, because if it's not there, how can they possibly buy? And it's certainly not easy for them if it's not easy for them to find you. So that's another great place. So tell us about GSA schedule maintenance and the revisions, the price changes, all these potential things that are affecting them, because there are some additional regulations that come out from time to time and things that affect them. So tell us some of the things that you do and what you see out there.
Well, one of the things that we see, and something that people look past, is, and I'm going to go right to that third bullet there, within revisions itself, the price changes, but most importantly is economic adjustments. Clients will have their GSA schedule, and they've been sitting on the same prices for 2, 3, 4 years, and they'll realize that they have the opportunity to raise those prices and improve their margin and still be an approved GSA price. That's incredibly important, because you know, the cost of gasoline keeps going up, the cost of electricity, the cost of pens and pencils, everything you need to run your business, the cost goes up. And a lot of times in the supply schedule, specifically, we've seen this, there's very volatile elements, like if you're selling batteries, the cost of some of the components that go into building batteries, including lead, that fluctuates greatly. And if your schedule's even a year, 2 years old, and you've not looked into or made any adjustments economically of what your schedule costs are, it's time to go into there and make that thing current, because you're leaving money on the table that you can still be having a GSA price and sell to the government.
And that's a fact. And people are leaving money on the table all the time. And if you have additional labor categories that you're adding that may even be almost exclusive to the government, because there's certain things that happen within the government that doesn't happen in the private sector, that create additional market value for you and incredibly good margins potentially if you're pricing them right. So I can't agree more that it makes sense to revisit your GSA schedule and make sure it's up to date as part of your proactive pursuit, because as you're doing these things, the beautiful thing about relationships is that, and even if it's just a new relationship, is that over the course of 6 months, if you're touching them on a regular basis with reason to talk to them, one of them might be, hey, we made some changes and we added a couple products on our GSA schedule that weren't there before. I wanted to make sure you knew they were there. Just that alone. If it's something that's on their desk right now, it makes it easy for them. So I can't recommend Jamie any more than I already do, because they're 100% in getting GSA schedules. They have 100% track record. They never miss. And so I work with them. I send my work to them because I don't like doing the paperwork anyway. So that's not my thing. So any other comments you want to make, Jamie, before we roll on past this?
Well, you know, that's the opportunity you talked about. We briefly touched on this, was the SIN code, to not only Can you look at going after additional special item numbers as you build your past performance? But also the special item numbers change over time. They will combine or make new special item numbers, and there could be missed opportunities if you're not keeping your schedule current. So that's something you definitely want to look into. And you know, it's almost like it goes hand in hand with keeping your SAM updated as well. We've had clients where, you know, I'm previously known as the CCR, is what is now SAM. Is, you know, they'll have a contact person on there that doesn't even work with the company anymore, and they've not looked into it. Well, you know, Fred used to be handling this, and he's not there anymore. He's still the contact person, and somebody's trying to email him, and there may be somebody in the federal government trying to contact you right now that can't get to you because either your SAM is not up to date or your GSA schedule is not correct, current, and up to date. And those are things that need to be in place to make sure you're maximizing on your GSA schedule and the power that it brings to your company.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And all those things, very valid. I've seen people lose because of that exact contact information's not right. That, you know, they went on you go on a sales call, you meet with a whole bunch of people, they take and adopt your sample scope of work, right? Everything is there, everything, and then they go to, because a lot of times when they execute, they're executing through the information that they gather from SAM now, used to be CCR. They pitched that information out, and I watched it. It was a $125,000 opportunity that had a 24-hour window that didn't get responded to because the contact information was wrong. And because it was the fiscal year end, they said, hey, can we do it again? They said no. Not only that, they lost the potential for that customer. That customer was the Department of State. It was direct, prime, Department of State for $125,000 for the first contract. Can you imagine what the rest of those contracts would have looked like? Can you imagine how many millions of dollars was lost? It's crazy, 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 crazy. And so those are the kind of things that Jamie can help with. And then once you get all those pieces together, is your plan. After your plan is to pursue these folks. Now, the number one reason why folks fail is because they don't dedicate resources for a proactive pursuit. The number one reason. So you need to dedicate resources for that so that you can leverage relationships, existing and ones that you're going to develop, so that you can gain influence, so you can get ahead of the RFP process and find winnable opportunities. That is your process, to get out in front of these pieces and win business. Get out there, win business. This is, in order to do this, you can't just go, boop, I want to go to the win button. There is no win button. You've got to go dedicate the resources, develop, leverage those relationships, gain influence, get ahead of the RFP, and find winnable opportunities. Sometimes it can happen right away. If you happen to call on somebody and they have an opportunity on their desk and they say, hey, do you do? They're not asking do you do because they're just curious because they, were taking a shower this morning and said, man, I hope this guy calls me today and tells me what he does so I can ask him what he does. No. The only reason they ask do you do is if they have something. They got something on their desk they can't move, or they're just wondering how they can fulfill it. It just happened. Maybe it happened last week. Maybe it's on their desk today. And they say, do you do? That's a beautiful thing. That can happen right away. You can develop a relationship. They'll say, can you send me a sample scope? I've had this happen, folks. First conversation, do you do? Pick up the phone. Yes, we do. Can you send me a sample scope of work? Yes, I can. Boom. 2 weeks later, first opportunity, won. Happens. That's timing. Doesn't happen every day. Don't expect it, but it can happen. It's a matter of timing with the right people, with the right message at the right time. If you happen to be there when they're asking a question, you say, boop, I pop up on the radio screen. Well, I'll ask this guy. He happens to be calling me today. This person is not going to go to Sam and look it up and call you. There's no reason to do that. They're going to go to somebody they know, and they're going to connect the dots for themselves. And they may not be the best connected of the dots, but they're going to connect the dots the best way they know how. If somebody asks you something, you're going to go to your inner circle. You may go to the Internet and Google, potentially, but most of the time you're going to go to somebody else that you know. Have you ever done it? Have you ever done anything like this? What kind of car did you buy? Why did you buy that Lexus? Same thing happens here. So getting back to this, proactive. prepared. We're prepared. We prepared for this marketplace. We understand our situation. We know what we're after. We know where we are. And we know where we want to go. Now, I'm going to talk about a mental process that affects a subsequent process, which ultimately is winning business. Because this is what is going to affect your ability to win business. And I'm going to talk about being proactive and the secret sauce that we use. And the fact of the matter is, since you prepared well, you've updated your capabilities, you got your sample SOWs ready to go, you've targeted and prioritized and organized in your CRM, your GSA is up to date, your SAM is up to date, bam, time to go. Time to go. What we're going to talk about is a broad marketing campaign, which also addresses niche. It creates your niche marketing to flow out of this, and it's a beautiful thing. We pick the top 2 contacts in each location responsible for your size contracts, and we create a blitz campaign around it. And it's 328% more effective than if you're introduced than if you go and introduce yourself. Why is that? Because I introduce you to Jamie, you already have an affinity to Jamie whether or not you know me or not. Why is this? It's a human nature. It doesn't matter. If somebody says Jamie's good, you're going to believe Jamie's good because I said so. And the fact of the matter is you can do this as well. And the way this works is it's 3 to 4 touches within 3 days. That means an introduction, follow-up, another one, another follow-up, and then a 4th one to say, hey, I'm sorry I didn't get to you. And then this creates an 8 to 12% dialogue with action items, meetings the next week. All the time. Happens all the time. So the fact of the matter is we can help you progress in this fashion. Get out in front quickly. So in this proactive blitz campaign, here's how it works. You have the first introduction to you. There's possible outcomes from that. They could say, yes, they're the right contact. Whoops, that's not right. Hold on a second, guys. That's not right. I think I'm missing a slide or two. I'm going to have to talk to this because I must have deleted this by accident. So there's an introduction sent. There's a couple of things that can happen. They can respond right away, and you do a follow-up and set a meeting. You set a meeting right over the emails. The next thing is they're not the right person, so that they can give you a referral to somebody else, or they can decide. And that referral can be to a project manager or program manager. That can be another contracting officer, or it can be a prime. So that can reinforce your prime piece. So the next person that comes up, the next thing that can happen is they can just flat out say no. Well, what happens when somebody says no? We have a 21-day rule. You'll remember an insignificant event for 21 days, max, usually, unless you're some kind of freak of nature like the mentalist or something. But besides that, generally you're just going to remember something for 21 days and forget it because it's insignificant. If somebody calls you on the phone and says, hey, I do this, that's insignificant. So your introduction to them is usually insignificant. No offense intended, but that's usually what it is. So as a result, they go into a 21-day cycle. Call them again. And one of the most important things, and I wish it was here because it should be, and that is to act as if. Act as if you're friends already. Act as if you already are having a great time. You already know these people. You're already friends. You're already going to be great friends. And if you do that, the mindset that's behind that is that it automatically helps to build that rapport that's necessary. So you pick up the phone, you're being proactive, you're acting as if. And know what you're going to be after. Sell the meeting. Sell a face-to-face meeting. And if you don't go to if you can't get a face-to-face meeting, sell a follow-up conference call, something that's scheduled. If not that, then just a follow-up call. And if not that, then hey, I'm just going to shoot you my capabilities. But you have all kind of different things that you can do. But know that you have a progression there. That one is really, really important. If you're in front of people, you have a much better chance of closing somebody, right? So the objective is that. So, and remember, you're not closing them for business. You're closing them for advancing the relationship. So we got the possible outcomes. Okay, so then you follow up by phone. Yes, it's the right contact. No, it's not the right contact. There's a referral. Other COP, I should just went with this. Act as if. They're all right here. Sorry about that, guys. Losing my mind. So there's a meeting scheduled. and then you're going to be updating your system, and you're going to notify the appropriate people. So if you're talking to somebody and you schedule a meeting, there may be additional people that you have to notify in order to be able to do it. When we do it, we're making phone calls for multiple clients. We're scheduling meetings. We're doing follow-up phone calls. We're doing all these things, and we're updating the system, and then we got to notify the person, hey, you better be there Wednesday at 4 o'clock, otherwise, you're a miss. And then you can have backup plans, etc. So then we have the third email, which is a response, yes, meeting scheduled, no meeting scheduled, no, follow-up phone call, and then we get into a place that we're either working with these people right now, and they become hot and bubble to the top, or they go into what I call a ping scheduling. That means we're going to keep calling them. Why? Why are we going to keep calling them? Because nobody's just going to buy from you right out of the gate, usually. Every once in a while you get a weird one. But generally speaking, if you're going to get married to somebody, you got to go through the process. You got to kind of court them a little bit, get to know them a little bit, go out to dinner, relax. You can't do that with them. But besides that, you're going to get to know, build that relationship to a place where then you have influence over the outcome of that relationship. And one of the things to do is put them on ping scheduling and continue to do that. And some of your other pieces that we talked about before with the procurement briefing, reaching out to them on a regular basis with a reason. Just don't call them up and say, hey, what do you got for me? What do you got for me? No. Call them up. How you doing? Man, did you see that Louisville game? Can you believe that guy broke his leg? Holy cow, it was the craziest thing. Next thing you know, you're talking about something other than business. This gives you the ability to track your success, to be able to say, where am I with these people? How many have warmed up? How many are moving through the cycle? So then you can do your process improvement. If you're having problems cracking through, it's because something's blocking you. So look at your process. Say, am I calling on the right people? Am I pitching them the right way? Is my capabilities up to date? Is my GSA schedule up to date? Are they receiving what I'm giving them? If they're not receiving what I'm giving them, how am I delivering the message wrong? Because chances are you're delivering the message wrong. Because most people are reasonable enough to talk with you in most instances. Then after this, in this part of this ping scheduling, there's a phone campaign to reach all the rest of the contacts. So if you have, let's say you have a 12% hit ratio out of 300, that's not bad, right? You're already talking to a bunch of people. You're already talking, to 45 people. But you do this right, and in 90 days, you'll have dialogue with 18 to 30%. You have reached 125 key decision makers that now know who you are. They can't like you till they know you, for crying out loud. So you might not be at the like stage yet. They may not like you and trust you enough to be able to give you business or kind of help you guide business your way yet, but they know who you are at least, and you're beginning the process of building those relationships so that you can get to a place where you can influence that. And you're also finding those under-the-radar opportunities that fit your sweet spot because you've targeted right. Your targeting is right. Your pursuit is right. You're after the right people with the right message. It's got to work. It's got to work. And you have enough of the key decision makers and buyers. You have 125 of them on average, give or take, over the course of 90 days. And you're in this pursuit mode, constant pursuit mode. It's manageable. It's a manageable number. But you're not stopping your broad marketing campaigns. You're not stopping you go direct and you talk to these people and say, well, you know what? You really need to talk to Northrop Grumman. Well, who should I talk to at Northrop Grumman? And they throw you over the fence to a major prime. That's a beautiful thing. If you go into these matchmaking things, how many times you sign up for a database and you never get a call? Why? Because there's no relationship there. There's no reason for them to call you. But if you're talking to a person who's paying them, at the end of the day, they're going to talk to you. You have a much better chance of getting in under the tent. So this is what we were trying to accomplish today, specifically for you folks, to say, hey, identifying the prospects for fiscal year 13. Boom, can help you do that. I'm looking for the answer, now what? Now what is, now's the time. Learn how to increase your chances of winning work. What's a better way to increase your chance of winning work than getting in touch with the key people that are responsible for the buying? That's the best way that you can do that. And a practical action plan, just mapped it out for you. I was provided with marketing tips, there you go, and the right customer for your services, both. We can help you with both of those. Address in detail how small businesses should market. I market this way all the time for small businesses. This is exactly what I recommend for small businesses. So now, any questions about this? There should be some questions here about all that stuff. There's a whole bunch of good stuff in there. So let's see here. What do we have? Sorry. Updating one of our Leonard, I'm gonna unmute you so that you can reinforce what we're talking about. Hit me, Leonard. What do you got there? Updating your is that part number?
Yeah. So what had happened is our competitors actually started using our pricing strategy, and what I also noticed is that the manufacturer changed their part number. They went to a revise, so it went from -001 to -002, and
yep.
for whatever reason, we did not catch that, so sales started to decline right in December 2012. And so when I looked at that in early January, I realized that our part number did not exactly match the manufacturer's part number. And once we changed that through SIP, sales went right back up, because what these buyers do is they copy the part number from the manufacturer's website, plug it into gsaadvantage.gov, and then search for the vendors. That's it.
And another thing that you can do, because you have the ability to create your own part numbers too, right?
That's correct.
And here's the secret, and it's gold.
Okay.
That is, create your own part number, market that part number to the people that you're after. Then you drive into GSA Advantage, they copy and paste that part number. Who has it?
Yeah, exactly. We do.
You do. Who else has it?
They do.
And your competitors,
who
else doesn't have it?
The competitors do not.
That's right,
exactly.
baby.
I like that. I like that. Thank you.
That's a beautiful thing. So those are the kind of things, as you're thinking about your strategy of how you can keep your competitors at bay, doing that, assigning your own part number and marketing that part number, and say, hey, it is this, right? Well, I'll pick a BlackBerry. I don't even know what BlackBerries are, man. I'm sorry, I'm not an iPhone guy. But pick a BlackBerry number, and boom, there's your part number. And if there's a battery that goes with that part number, here's a special battery that lasts for X amount of hours, and boop, you market that out. You're just pressing batteries. You could just be pressing batteries. You make a ton of money on pressing batteries, right? So and we get out there in front of that and say, here's a special part number. Boom, use this part number. Go to GSA Advantage, buy it now.
And you'll see
where the best price, because you don't press.
And we do have an internal part number which we use, and once they order from us the first time, then they actually start using that part number. So it's really interesting to see that strategy work. Yep,
it's very cool, right?
Right.
So what do you think about the strategy I just said? All the things I said. You got any issues? I don't know you, Leonard.
Right. No, I don't know you.
Do I?
No.
So tell me what you think. This is right out there. What do you think?
No, I think you're dead on. I think you're dead on. One of the things that we've been working on is making sure we update our SAM. In terms of the relationships, that's another reason why I wanted to come back to your seminar, because I realized that. Hold it for 1 second. Okay. I realized that there are friction points that we as contractors need to learn how to smooth out in terms of the technical point of contacts, the primary, the buyer, and then what sales levels. At different sales levels, there are different buyers and different people who are engaged in that opportunity. So, those are the friction points that I'm learning how to smooth out.
Absolutely. And because they have different buying motives, they have different reasons for being there. And because you have a more commoditized product,
right?
It's critical. It's the relationship that you have becomes far more important because you're commoditized. Because you become important. Because anybody can buy a BlackBerry just about anywhere, right? So being able to differentiate yourself in that marketplace any way you can is very important. All right, let me see. Hang on. I might come back to you, Leonard. I'll mute you for a moment, but let's see. Questions? All right. How do you find the right people? Great question. I'm about to tell you that. Any other questions? Let's see. Will this presentation be made available? Yes, we're going to put it up on YouTube, and I'll send an update out for everybody. And I think I missed that last month, so I'll include both. Let's see. Hey, I see Rocco is at least here. I was talking about, there's a couple folks. I just want to make sure that, man, there's so many people I can't read them all. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you how we find the right people and how we can get to the place. I appreciate the segue, Sarah, for that segue. She can't talk because she doesn't have a mic. So if there are those folks, there's 642 buyers. We can help you find them, be relevant to them, stay relevant to them, and get ahead of the RFPs so that you can respond effectively to those and win. Ideally, you have to start with finding these people. That is always step one. When I started doing this, and I know a lot of you folks are in sales, one of the things I learned a long time ago is if I have the right target base, if you give me the right people, I will get to those people. Somehow I'm going to get to those people. And I'm relentless at getting to those people, and I don't stop until I get there. So step one in understanding your market, here's what we do. Our Federal Marketing Essentials package is exactly this. It gives you all the foundation that you need, whether you've done a whole lot of business in the government or not. If you're going to expand, you need to understand where you are, and you need to know what's happening out in the marketplace. The key contacts who buy your stuff. Can't stress that anymore. These are the people that are responsible for buying what you do. Your competitors' contacts. I love this. When I think about being able to go head-to-head with a particular competitor and know that I have their buyers and I know how they're structured, how they're doing it. You're getting the inside information, and this is under-the-radar contracts, oftentimes never hits FedBizOps. There's 2.5 million contracts that are executed in a given year, and about 125, 130,000 hit FedBizOps. Where are the rest? Where's 2.4 million contracts? Where are they? They're flying under the radar. They're going to different, they're already being met some other way. So this is the way that you can figure it. So you get a breakdown of the agency spending as well. Just knowing who you want to target, the primes and their contacts, and the recommended action steps. So that this is 80, 90% of your federal strategy. This is almost everything you need besides sitting down and saying, okay, I'm going to budget this much money to do it, and I'm going to assign these people to do it. And we'll even give you the budget allocation resource sheet so that you can do that as part of the action steps. To say, hey, go through this, fill this out, find out what your gaps are, because I'm telling you, you got them. And I love what Leonard said. He said there's friction points. And to be able to understand and identify those friction points, to remove those friction points to a sale, that's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing. And this is step one. Step one, understand your marketplace and get ready, because guess what? Now's the time to pounce. We're gearing up for September. I can't stress it enough. There isn't that much time left for you to get established, because come middle of July, they start to disappear. The federal buyers start to disappear. And then middle of August, they really start to disappear. To September, you can't get them. They're already establishing their plans. They're already getting to a place where they're ready to go. So now is the time to pounce and capture ground, because there's a lot of people sitting back on their laurels saying, oh no, sequestration, I don't know what to do. I'm telling you, now's the time to move. All right, we're definitely over time. I apologize, I got talking. So real quick, go to captureplanning.com, visit Prop Library. There's a free white paper. You can actually send me an email. Carl's not here. And you can get $100 off for your personal session. GSA schedule development, here's Jamie's information if you need some additional help there. And hang on one sec. And if you need some additional resources there. I'm going to be bringing out a new Doing Business with the Government updated handbook. It's coming. I've been working on it. It's a pain. But there's a lot of things after 3 years that I've learned that I want to update. And a lot of that has to do with how you leverage small business liaisons and contacts there. Because originally you're in it, you're like, hey, man, we got these people that can help us get to where we want to go. No, they really can't, not unless you help them. So taking this information, imagine if you're going to go call on Fort Belvoir or another fort or someplace near you, you're going to call an agency near you, and you go in with your small business liaisons and you say, hey, do you know these 10 people that are in that agency? And if they know them, maybe they can help you assemble a meet and greet session. Maybe it's all of them together. Maybe it's you. Hey, I'd rather talk to each one of these people individually and see who has what I want. And maybe they can help facilitate that for you. But they're not. If you say, hey, I go in and sell BlackBerries, what are they going to do? Who sells BlackBerries? Who buys? I don't know. But I don't know. Why? Because that's not their job. They're small business liaisons, but they really don't have. A lot of them don't have history in contracting, and none of them have history in sales. So if you're asking them to figure out how to do a sales campaign internally in their organization, they're going to tell you, oh, they won't talk to you. And that's a lie. They talk to you all the time. I'm telling you, we talk to them every single day, all the time. So I'm going to be doing that. Next webinar is April 16th. No, it's not. That's today. Next webinar is the third. Oh, jeez. This one's even worse, March 19th. Oh, my gosh. Who organizes these things anyway? Jeez Louise. Anyhow, I hope that was beneficial. Know that if you signed up already, if you already signed up, you're going to get another notification anyway for the third Tuesday. And one of the things that we're also doing, if you're interested in Oasis, we're doing some special components with that. Jamie's involved in that as well. That's a very complex kind of thing, and it's made for very few companies. But if you're interested in that, we could talk about that as well. Here's my contact information. Love to talk with you. There's Jamie's. He'd love to talk with you. You need some help with the GSA schedule stuff. And with that, I'm going to let you go because I'm way, way over. Jamie, thanks for joining me and spending time with us. Any last-minute questions, I will be answering in just a moment, and I'll do that. But everybody else, if you don't have any questions, you can go ahead and leave. And I'll get to those. Leonard, I got your email. Thank you very much for that. What we'll do is, if I can copy and paste this. There we go. I got your email. Let's talk. It seems like you got a lot of good things going on. I'd like to talk. I got some folks I'd like to refer you to in the private sector too that may be able to tag team with you. Let's see. Any additional questions? How much is the total cost of the package? The total cost of that package with the discount, it's regularly $4,500. It's $3,500 if you do that. So the Marketing Essentials package. So I'll be glad to talk with you about that. I'm glad you're interested. Thank you very much, John. Good. I will make sure that we get that stuff to you. Yes, we will have this on presented. So.